Yeah, it's down in California because we go to California a lot.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
So we're familiar with it.
So as a practice, Mo, are you going to have a any kind of a PowerPoint to present, or is it all just
You're just stuck with me talking.
okay? Oh, geez, typical district governor. Okay. So you don't have any need then to do a special screen share or anything like that?
I have a picture of my dog on my screen if you want me to share that.
That's okay. No, I'll bring mine in too then. Okay, here we go. People are starting to come in. This is great. Normally, Mo, it takes till roughly 7:05 before everybody who's going to be on will be on.
That's right.
Okay, so
I was up at 5 o'clock this morning so I could be at Pierce County Fairgrounds to serve pancakes.
uh-oh, we've got some feedback.
That's me. Okay.
You have to mute yourself.
I have absolutely no idea how to.
Uh-oh.
Stay there, I'll go mute Dale.
I was going to tell her he can be on, and I'll just mute him from here, and you can still listen.
You have control. Go ahead and mute him.
Okay, so let him get back on, and then I'll mute him.
Okay. He's being sarcastic. If you can't hear him. So,
Yeah.
Kathy, you said that you belong to Rotary One World. Was that? I have a district governor friend in California. His name is Ramesh, and he is part of an e-club out of California.
Oh, it could have been the same one. It's been a few years. You know, we were in back in Gig Harbor North.
Oh, okay. So you're covering.
Yeah, it was in between when we were kind of not living here, and you know, yeah. But yeah, so it's probably been 3 years since we've been in that club.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'm in Gig Harbor.
Oh,
That's where I'm sitting right now. Yeah, I've got, we're in a vacation rental by owner for 3 weeks. We do this area.
the house that we live in, we rented it that way for 10 years.
Oh,
And
no.
then we moved into it.
Yeah, it's a
So if you're on Pine, if you're anywhere downtown, we're downtown.
Well, we're actually out a little ways, about 10 minutes out of town. Yeah, so right on the water. It's a beautiful spot.
Sounds nice.
It is.
So out of curiosity, I don't know, someone is signed on, I guess, with their cell phone. Who is signed on with the number ending in 0796?
That's me, Karen Chang Barr from Gateway Rotary Club of Lake.
Oh, I love your email, Karen at Who Knew, but it's HOONUI.
It's Ho'onui.
Ho'onui. Oh, okay. I thought it
And
was
that
Who
means
Knew.
to expand or enlarge.
Okay, awesome. We're getting people from all over tonight, Mo. Oh, and here comes one of our new members, Marcelo, from District 5030, Mo. He couldn't make his meetings in the Kirkland area, so he's joined our club now.
Excellent. So his DG would have been Bill McElroy, big, tall guy out of Seattle.
Probably. I haven't met him yet, so but this is great.
Hi, Marcelo. Can you hear us? Marcelo might be having problems with sound and visual.
I don't have him muted. Oh, there we go. I'll unmute him again. Try that. Oh, no, don't do that. Unmute. He's got him. Okay, he has himself muted. Marcelo, can you hear? Oh, there's Wade. See, I told you, Mo, at about 7:05, we'll get everybody on board.
No worries.
Okay. I can't override him. He's muted himself.
Okay.
So, Marcelo, if you can hear us, go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay. Hi, Wade. Oh.
Hi, Wade. Can you hear us? Some of us had some sound issues first.
Okay. Jim, can you hear us? Jim Hickey. Ah, excellent. Okay.
Yes. Can you hear
Just to
me?
give you an idea, Mo, we have people from the greater Olympia area, like in Jen, people from northern Gig Harbor who are basically going to be on the road. Wade is from the Tacoma area. Jim Hickey is from Victoria area. To give you a little flavor of, and then Marcello is formerly from 5030. Karen is from the Gateway Club, but is looking to she's looking us over tonight. So Mo, you got to be on your best because if you do a real good job, she'll join our club and stay in Rotary. Okay. Chuck Pruitt should be on here soon. He's from the Gig Harbor area as well. And let's see, who's our other regular? Oh, Wade is muted too. Come on, unmute you, Wade.
So
Wade?
who's from Gig Harbor?
Pardon me?
Who
Kathy,
else is from Gig Harbor?
Chuck Pruitt. You heard of Chuck? He's from the actual, well, he's no longer in the Gig Harbor Club, but he lives there. He snowbirds. So 6 months Arizona, 6 months up here.
We should connect.
Yep, and stay connected. That's what our motto is. If you look at the top of our website, it says that we are staying connected to do good in the world.
Well,
Because
you
so
know,
many of us are Rotarians who have, for whatever reason, had to leave a brick and mortar club and are still staying connected. So that's awesome.
Now, Bill, Laura
Yes.
and Neil. Laura, I had coffee with Laura and Neil the other day. She's supposed to try to get on.
Oh, good. Do you know her?
No, we just met. We just connected and had coffee. She works in Gig Harbor.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Mo, background on Laura, if she gets on. Laura is a vet, and she works down in the Olympia area, like a night emergency veterinary service.
No, in Gig Harbor now.
And she works in Gig Harbor now.
At the night emergency, yes.
Okay, and lives in Olympia or vice versa. But anyway, she and Jennifer are teaming up for our youth programs because Laura is a past youth exchange assistant, coordinator, whatever. And Jennifer, of course, is working with YPO. Oh, look, we're filling up the screen. I love it.
Hey, Bill, another thing about Laura is that
Yes.
she actually was a youth exchange herself.
Okay, I didn't catch
She
that
was
part of
India.
her background. Okay,
Yeah, she was
cool.
in India.
Laura, don't look so serious.
I'm talking about you, Laura.
What? Hi.
I
Hi.
was telling them about you, how we met for coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. Uh-oh, who did we lose? So what do we have here? 4, 8, 12, 15. All right, filling up the screen. I'm looking for our other regulars, Fred, and trying to make this is great though. So Mo, what we'll do at 7:05, whether anyone's on or not, right? Or whoever, if they join late, they join late. Because out of respect for you and your timing, we will let Jan, do your formal introduction, okay? Okay. And I'm really proud that we are the first club in the 1314 or areas 1314 to hear Mo, because she's not speaking in this area until next week, right, Jan?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's pretty good. I feel really good about that. So
Oh, actually, she's speaking tomorrow to the board of South Puget Sound. So
okay.
they're going to visit with her tomorrow.
Excellent. I'm glad that just some boards are going to meet with Mo. That's great. And Mo, I'll be there again on the 15th to hear you, so I can tell everybody, okay, I know what she's going to say next. So does anybody have anything to ask or before we get going? The format, I think, is pretty simple. Zoom is an easy program to use. So does anyone have any questions? Because it's 7:05 and we'll let Jan do the formal introduction. No questions? Jan, it's yours.
All right. Mo is the practice manager of 2 law offices on Vancouver Island. In the past, she and husband Dale have owned and operated a general insurance office with 5 locations employing a staff of 45. She sits on the Asset Management Committee of Strathcona Community Futures, a federal program for providing loans to unique or startup businesses. A member of the Rotary Club of Comox, Mo was club president in 2009 and 10. But before that, she was the district membership chair in 2005 through 2009. At the start of her year as club president, she was responsible for introducing the visioning program to District 5020. She has many years of Rotary training experience and has served at Multi-District Pets, Rotary Leadership Institute, as a presenter at one of 7 international membership summits in 2007, and most recently as chair of the board of directors for the 2019 President-elect training in Seattle. During Mo's tenure as a Rotarian, she has participated in many initiatives, including 3 national immunization trips to Ethiopia and raising the funds for creation of a microfinance bank. Dale, her husband of 44 years, she and Dale are Paul Harris Fellows, Bequest Society members, and major donors to the Rotary Foundation. They have 2 children, and their lives are further enhanced with the joy of being grandparents to 5 wonderful grandchildren. Bringing up the rear is their 10-year-old Labradoodle, Molly. She is thrilled to be a part of the Rotary Aloha Governors of 2019-2020. And other fun facts about her: she'd like to take more time to draw. She enjoys sketching portraits. She'll tackle renovation projects with Dale, and over the years, they've completed many. She thought she would like to play golf, but found out that she has no patience, but still enjoys the walking part. And finally, she belongs to a microcredit action group, Home Exchange Fellowship, and Wine Fellowship. I am proud to introduce Mo Fitzroberts, our governor for 2019-2020.
Fellow Rotarians, this is a really unique platform. I'm really excited to be here because, quite honestly, I haven't participated in an e-club meeting before, and I'm hoping that the message comes across well. If you have any trouble hearing me, please let me know. And again, thank you for having me tonight, Bill. This is great. So 4 years ago, Dale and I were on a holiday in California, and we started having one of those conversations that you have when you're on holidays and you have lots of time. We started talking about the things in life that are important to us. And, you know, all the usual suspects came up, like family, our office, but right up there in the top 5 was Rotary. And we looked at each other and we said, you know, our lives have changed because of being members of Rotary. We need to do something to give back. And that's what this year is for me. Being district governor is my opportunity to give back, because for such a tiny little 6-letter word, Rotary has just absolutely allowed me to do anything I want. And I think we all need to accept and take that on as an opportunity. And I think about that just by looking at the changes that happen in the world. I mean, you're an e-club and you're doing international projects. You're talking about youth projects. Rotary definitely changes the world. I remember back in 2016 when Hurricane Matthew struck Haiti. It was devastating. I mean, people rushed in with immediate aid. But at that same time, I got a phone call from my brother-in-law, Marshall. He'd just been diagnosed with a really aggressive form of cancer. It was a really difficult time for him, for my sister, for their children. But that wasn't why Marshall was calling me. He said, Mo, while I'm strong, still able, I want to do something that makes a difference. You're a Rotarian. How do I get to Haiti? And I think that's how the whole world looks at us, as the game changers, the people that can make things happen. And so what I'd like to talk about tonight is joy. And I'd like to start that by introducing you to a person I call Joy. Now, I know that Joy isn't her real name, but I've called her that because she's the happiest person I have ever met. And Joy is a single parent with 2 children. She lives in a 2-room shotgun shack. She has no running water, no electricity, or to go to school. All she has for furniture is a box to store things in and a bench. And they have a pet, but they have to keep it tied up in the backyard because they have no fence. Now, how could I possibly call this woman Joy? Well, when I met Joy, it was in southern Ethiopia. And it was because I was doing a project down there with my Rotary Club and World Vision. So let's just leave Joy for a minute and talk about that connection of Rotary and World Vision, because I think that's what Rotary International President Mark Maloney had in mind when he talks about Rotary connects the world. It's just Rotarians connecting with each other, and it's those connections we make that make the difference. Your ability to continue to connect with Rotary by going to e-club meetings just further enhances that. So Dale and I are on the plane back to Canada from Ethiopia. And the reason we'd been there is that we were on one of those national immunization trips. And we met a few people, and one of them was a guy named Kim Lorenz. And he had retired, and all he did now was work full-time for World Vision and connect them with Rotary clubs. And so we said, well, we need to do something. We saw all these things. We saw the Tacoma Water Project and said, wouldn't that be a great place to go in and work now that those people don't have to haul water anymore? So we said, wouldn't microcredit be a cool idea? Then the women would have income. So we went back to our club and we told them we wanted to start a microcredit bank, and would they help us? And they dug in with us, and we did dinners and breakfasts, and I sold every bottle of wine in my wine cellar at an auction, and we raised 45,000 US. Okay, I'm from Canada, that's a lot of money. But we were halfway there. We needed $90,000, and I didn't know what to do next, but I wasn't giving up. So we decided to give this Kim Lorenz fellow a call. And I said, Kim, here's my issue. I need $45,000. He said, give me some time to think about it. I'll get back to you. Christmas Eve, he calls. He says, Maureen, I tapped 3 friends. I got you the $45,000. And that's why never let go of any connection with any Rotarian you ever met. Because I thought Kim was a tire salesman. I didn't know that he'd sold his company to a Fortune 500 company and he could afford to retire on that. So never, ever let a connection slip away. But back to Joy, the happiest person in the world. So Joy, when she found out that this microcredit opportunity was coming to her town, she had nothing to lose by wanting to set up a business. She knew she could better her life and her daughter's lives. And so she wanted to apply. But the trick in microcredit is you need 7 other people, because it's a group of 8 people. 1 person gets a loan, and then the other 7 guarantee it. And once the first person pays it back, the next person can get one. So she had to go out and find 7 other people who are willing to take a chance to borrow that much money and feel like they could repay it. She worked really hard. She got those 7 people together, and she was selected as the person to receive the first loan. So what she decided to do was build a bakery in her backyard. So it was basically a little pile of bricks with a fire ring and a metal top on it. And on that, she baked the local flatbread that they use in Ethiopia, Indira, and she sold it in the marketplace. And she paid back that loan. And then the next person could borrow. And eventually she got a second chance to borrow. So she expanded her bakery. And by the time I met Joy a year later, she had painted her entire house. Both of her little girls were in school. She had running water. She had electricity. She had bought a television. And she had fenced her yard. But that wasn't the amazing thing. The amazing thing was those 7 friends that she convinced to come in and work with her on this loan. They had all started businesses. They had all paid back their loans, and they were all successful. And that really has got to be a reason to be the happiest person in the world. And I was thinking about that. So we're a lot like Joy, because we could use that 7 friends out there and bring them into Rotary, bring them into your E-Club, and let them know the joy of what it's like to be a Rotarian. So I want to talk a little bit more about the joy of Rotary. And I think probably the best job in Rotary is Rotary Club President, bar none. Absolutely the best job. Bill, you're doing it again, so you must love it. But what I like about that is that most Rotarians that I meet that become club presidents just aren't really sure if it's for them or not. I remember a president of my club, it was installation night, and he was just sweating. And I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I'm just terrified." That I'm terrified that the club will fall apart in my year. Now, well, let's call him Tom, because Tom's his name. I said, "Tom, that's not going to happen, because if you knew Tom the way I did, there was no way anything was going to go wrong, because he was so dedicated. He wanted to get the job done, just like Bill. And so his year went on to become exactly the one he wanted and the one that our club wanted. But Tom had a big idea. He wanted to do something that made a difference. He had a dream about an ongoing project that our Rotary Club could do. And he told our club about it, and that he wanted to do this. And we went, "Yeah, no, we do club projects 1 year at a time." And he thought, "Well, I want to do this." So he went and he found 3 past presidents, and he said, "Look, I would really like to do this, but I don't want it to be seen as my pet project. Would you go out and survey the community and find 3 significant things that we could do that would make a difference and bring them back?" And so they did. And when we heard about them, we got so inspired that we picked one, and we're still working on it 10 years later. But could Tom's year have gone a lot differently? Absolutely. He could have, when he got that resistance, just backed away and said, "Okay, well, I won't do that then." But instead, he had the faith in his club that we would make the right choice, and we did. And when Tom tells this story, you can be sure that there is a little bit of a crack in his voice and sometimes a tear in his eye, but there's always a smile on his face, because as Bill knows, if you dream big, you'll get things done. And so why do I tell you this story about Tom? It's because we need people to put up their hand. If nobody will be a club president, how can we have a Rotary Club? And if nobody will take on new services, how will things happen with youth in your community? And so I ask each of you to make sure that if you're going to take the time to sign into your E-Club, find something that you can do that will help make a difference in Rotary. And there's a Chinese saying that goes, if you want to be happy for an hour, take a nap. And if you want to be happy for a week, for a day, go fishing. And if you want to be happy for a year, win the lottery. And if you want to be happy for a lifetime, help somebody else. And I think that that's really what life is about. It's whatever your community is and the difference that you make within that community that makes you the game changers. And I know that because I grew up in a little town where we had a band. And the reason we had a band is that the Rotary Club bought our instruments. And we had parks and playgrounds. And the reason we had them is because Rotary built them. And we had a tennis court. And the reason we had that tennis court is because Rotary installed it. And there was a little community down the road, not much bigger than ours, and it didn't have a band. They had one playground. It was in the elementary schoolyard, and they sure didn't have a tennis court, but they didn't have a Rotary Club. And so I don't know how and who the E-Club affects, but you have a community out there that's counting on you, and a community that will be much better because you're in it. So whether it's an international project or a project that you find within one of the communities that your members are a part of, it'll be a much better place because Rotary's there. I don't want to make joy sound fluffy or light, because I think what we do is important, and I think what we do is serious business. But still it's joy, and you find joy in the most unusual places. Like the time I was in Uganda, and we were on a bus on a dusty road. We were heading to a place with about, at that time, 1 million displaced people. We got off the bus in front of a training center, and they were taking us on a tour, and they were showing us a classroom, and walked in, and it was just this hush. It was a classroom full of little girls. They were between the ages of probably 14 to 16. They each had a sewing machine in front of them, a treadle sewing machine. It was a tailoring class. But the thing that took my breath away, each one of those little girls had a child under the age of 2 sitting beside them. Those little girls had been kidnapped by Joseph Kony's army. Those little girls had become the sex slaves of those soldiers. They weren't happy to see us. We were just another intrusion on their day. And I felt a little helpless. I thought, how do I change the atmosphere in this room? And I reached into my backpack, and I had a Polaroid camera. Now in North America, that's a pretty antiquated piece of equipment. But in rural Africa, nobody has a photo of themselves. And I convinced one of the little girls to let me take her picture with her baby. And she wasn't sure, but she relented. And as I was taking the picture, you know how that film comes out, develops as it comes out? And she started to watch it. Her eyes got bigger and bigger. And pretty soon she was jumping up and down, and she was screaming and waving her hands around. And pretty soon all the little girls in the room were jumping up and down, and they all wanted their picture taken. And it was just so joyous. It was just so much fun. And you did that. You're responsible for that joy. I mean, I feel a little guilty because I was there and I got to be part of it. But you created that joy. The money that you give to the Rotary Foundation is the reason that that training center was there. And the money that you give to the Rotary Foundation is the reason that those little girls could leave with the treadle sewing machine and start up a business. And I thought, what does that kind of joy cost? Or maybe more importantly, what would you pay to create that kind of joy? Now, I said earlier that joy is not light and fluffy, but Starbucks has got this great new coffee. It's called a macchiato cloud, and it is light and fluffy. They put egg white in the foam, and it just foams up beautifully. And I'm pretty sure if you order one of those, it sets you back about $5. So I thought, what if we all gave up 2 fluffy coffees, or our equivalent of a fluffy coffee, and took that $10 and made an automatic payment to the Rotary Foundation every single month. It means in a year, we would have donated over $100, and we'd be a sustaining member. And you know, that would buy a sewing machine. That would save some little girl's future. And I haven't even talked about the money that doesn't hurt your pocketbook, the money that you can leave to the Rotary Foundation in your will. I mean, I don't know about all countries, but there's a pretty good opportunity that if you leave money in your will to a foundation, it saves you some tax dollars. And who would you rather have spend your money after you die? The government or the Rotary Foundation? I can tell you where I'm laying my bets. But the joy that you can bring with so little is just amazing. When you talk about real joy, think about the mothers of those little girls and the way that they look at Rotary now. That Rotary gave an opportunity to their little girls to have an income and to raise those grandchildren. But you and I know something that those mothers don't know. That joy only cost us 2 coffees a month. So I think what Rotary does is definitely important and definitely something we need to be proud of. And there's a lot of things to be proud of in Rotary and to celebrate. And so as district governor, that's one of the things I get to talk about, is the things that are coming up. Now, I don't know as an E-Club whether or not you ever decide that you want to participate in a district conference, but I'm going to have to give you a pitch. Because if you're going to go to a district conference, you got to go to the one this coming May on the 15th and 16th. That's the Canadian long weekend. It's the Queen's birthday. You can, come celebrate. It's the Friday and Saturday. And it is going to be at the Victoria Conference Center. And what we've done in the past is we've done a day of training and then a day of conference. But what we're doing this year instead is we're going to have all of the speakers be during the mealtime, and then the breakouts and the special sessions will be in between those meals. And we've got some great speakers coming. We really do. We've got Mitty Chang talking about change with young people in Rotary, and we've got internationally world famous author Dr. Jordan Peterson. And hey, Dale and I went to Honolulu and listened to Dr. Peterson give a presentation. And I have to tell you, there were people that paid $500 a ticket just to be there to hear him, plus get their picture taken with him. So I'm thinking, you know, if you came, you could scalp your lunch ticket and pay for your whole weekend. Let somebody else listen to Dr. Peterson and get your weekend paid for. But whatever you decide to do, you've got to think about this, because as a district, I'm here for a year and I'm gone. But your e-club is going to go on forever and ever. And you need to connect, not only electronically, but with those other Rotarians, and to get that training and to be inspired by those speakers, and give us the opportunity to find out why e-clubs work. Because I have to tell you that I know that there is a test right now happening in Texas with Rotary International. It's not something that they're out there talking about, but they give us some backroom stuff. I'm not sure we're supposed to share it, Bill, but I'm blowing it here. But they are doing a virtual Rotarian program to just see, you can just be a Rotarian and not ever belong to an e-club, not ever belong to a Rotary club. You just sign up directly with Rotary International. So there are changes coming, and I think it would be really helpful for everybody in District 5020 to understand more about e-clubs, so that when the virtual club comes along, we really do get that as well. And so I hope that you'll consider that. And the dress code's fun, because with the International Convention being in Honolulu, we're going to have an Aloha conference. So it's no ties, no jackets, you know, wear the Hawaiian colors, and just put it on your calendar, and I hope you'll consider it. So in all of that, back in California, when Dale and I were talking about having to make a difference and to give something back to Rotary, he made a commitment as well. He said that if I was willing to take on the job of district governor, that he'd help me out. And he's been amazing. He's traveling everywhere with me. And you know how big this district is. It's all of Vancouver Island and all of the coastline of Washington State, right down to the Oregon border. So it's a lot of driving, but he's doing that for me. He's come to refer to himself as my Batman. Now, I think he means the British military Batman, not the DC Comics. But I'm thinking about that DC Comics Batman, because he didn't have any superpowers. And I thought, that's a lot like us. Rotarians are just ordinary people, and yet we do extraordinary things. And so I'd like you to ponder what your secret power is. Is your secret power the ability to step to the plate when a job needs to get done? Are you the person that starts a committee or makes sure that you're looking at putting your hand up to be president? Is that your superpower to make things work? Or maybe your superpower is you color outside the lines, so that when something difficult comes up, you're the person that can look at it in a different way and say, yeah, I think we can make this work if we just do this. Or maybe your superpower is that you're really solid and grounded. You know, when you're doing home renovating, you can pretty much do anything except you can't touch that load-bearing wall. Well, maybe your superpower is knowing what the load-bearing walls in Rotary are to make sure they stay strong. But whatever your superpower is, I challenge you to use it for good. Because I think if you do, you'll find that joy that I'm talking about. So I would like you to share the joy by going out and finding one of your 7 friends and convincing them that this is a great way to meet Rotarians and that they could join Rotary. And if they say they don't have time, you say, oh, but you don't have to leave your living room. You can have a beer and be at the Rotary meeting. And I'd like you to embrace the joy by getting really involved, because I think that's when Rotary really pays back, is when we get involved. And I'd like you to enhance the joy by making the Rotary Foundation your charity of choice. Now, I can only speak for myself when I say that I get more out of Rotary than I ever put in. And believe me, I seem to just keep getting more and more from it. It's never ending. But I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't for Rotary, I would never, ever have gone to Ethiopia. And then I'd have missed meeting Joy, the happiest woman in the world. And I'd have missed those two little girls that followed me around this one village I was in. They just skipped along behind me and they were giggling and chatting away. And the Rotarian that was with me said, "Do you know what they're saying?" Of course, I had no idea. He said, "Well, one of them asked the other, why you're that strange pale color." And the reply was, "Well, I don't think she's fully cooked." And so that's what I ask you. Are you fully cooked in Rotary? Are there things that you haven't done yet that you'd like to try out and you just haven't let anybody know about it? Because the E-Club's a perfect vehicle to try just about anything. So I ask you, and there's always an ask, the district governor never leaves without asking something, but I'd like to ask you to find one thing that you want to do in Rotary, one thing that will make you feel better. Because I think when you do that, you're going to find that joy I've been talking about. So thank you for taking this time tonight with me.
Okay, Mo. Wow, thank you. Thank you very. I'm going to have to get an applause meter or something that I can plug in programs. There's some pretty cool things you can do with these. When we had our charter night, I actually found out I had flags waving. I had the Canadian flag and the anthem, and then the American flag and the anthem. It was pretty cool. And that's when Tom Carroll did our official charter presentation. So there's some funny things you can do here. So Mo, I like your request or / challenge. Find one thing that we want to do. We did a big thing already in our club. We, without a Rotary grant, we were just trying ourselves out. And between money we had in the account and money that people donated individually, we donated Rachel Pye Systems, the education system, to 6 schools, 2 in Kenya and 4 in Guatemala. And we had some reports come back and really excellent results for just a small, brand new Rotary Club in our first year. So we're pretty proud. We don't know what we're going to do next, but you've given us, I wrote it down, so that'll be a discussion at our future club assembly is what is one thing we would like to do in Rotary. So I would like to open it up to everyone to ask Mo any question you want, whether it's about the district, whether it's about her experiences in Rotary, or like the secret she just let out about what I want to call it, not a prototype, but an experimental program in Rotary with a virtual Rotarian. So please, anybody and everybody, somebody just raise your hand and I'll call on you, please. I thought you had, okay, then I'll ask a question. All right, I'll get it started. So Mo, many years ago, I started my first big global grant on a water project in Ethiopia. I worked with Ezra and he cornered me into doing one for the village of the home village of the president of Ethiopia. So a little bit of pressure there. But one of the things we ran into when we started to do what we called Ethiopia 2 was Rotary just did not want us to work with World Vision. They kept saying that World Vision was their project, not ours. So this money you got when you worked with Kim Lorenz, was it World Vision money? Was it private money? Did World Vision get involved in your project? How did that partnership work?
Okay, so Kim went out and tapped 3 of his friends so that they could give the money directly to me. But I said, no, I wanted to work with World Vision. That was our concept, is that how rare is it to have another organization that will work with you and they don't want their name on it? Like they would be our partner and it could just be Rotary. They didn't care if World Vision said anything about it. But I'll tell you, I did my due diligence because when we decided to do that microcredit loan, I wasn't doing it with Rotary. There was, at that time, Rotary did not match microcredit loans in the global program. And so we had to come up with the whole $90,000 for that bank. And Ethiopia has very, very strong rules about banking. You can't start up Bill's bank. it has to be one that is considered legitimate within the country. And so I investigated all of the microcredit opportunities there. And at that time, it was much easier to do it. And so I probably spent 8 months doing that research. And I tell you, I had 2 Rotarians in Ethiopia who wanted me to use their banks, but I couldn't see the value of the stewardship that they offered. And the one that I went with was called Wisdom, and it is funded by World Vision. And it just gets the highest rating. It was kind of like when Charity Navigator rates Rotary, they have that same level of rating in the international banking world. And so that's who we went with. And once we had the $90,000, we gave it to them and they started the branch there. And that's it. They won't start a branch without $90,000 US because they said they will fail otherwise, because what happens is once people see that success, then it's just like putting a water project in. Everybody starts to gravitate to that area because there's a possibility of a better life. And but working with World Vision is absolutely excellent. And I know I'm also not supposed to say this, but I had a private conversation with Kim Lorenz after the Atlanta International Convention. And I said, how are things going with World Vision and Rotary these days? And he said he went through a really rough time period where Rotary did not want to work with World Vision. And he said it has started to change. And he said it was a mistake. It set us back as an organization because he said nobody else wanted to work with Rotary because we're so independent. We only want to do the projects we want to do, and we want our name to be first. And we're kind of like little mom and pop stores, right? Like we've got Real Vision, and what they like to do, big companies like UNICEF and so forth, they want to work with the Gates Foundation where they just open their purses and let you do whatever you want. And so World Vision is still Rotary's kind of big chance to break into those kinds of connections. And I think we have to be a little more forward thinking. And I understand that's the direction we're going now, that the foundation has taken a new turn.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because there was a real struggle there on that Ethiopia 1, 2, and 3 water grant applications because of World Vision's involvement. So I'm glad to hear that maybe Rotary is beginning to change their mind in that regard. Anybody else? I mean, some more questions for Mo. How many clubs have you been to yet already in just your first month or so?
Well, by the end of the 3 weeks that I'm down here in Pierce County, I will have, I think there's 27 clubs down here that I'm seeing, and I think I've seen 12, no, maybe 16 in Canada.
Well, you're moving along at a quick pace.
Well, I'm doing this because I want to have fun doing it. And so I've plunked myself down here for 3 weeks. I thought I'd kind of holiday, but Jan and Bill and Jamie and Jennifer and Tom made sure that didn't happen. They filled me right in. So I'm up most mornings, like this morning at 5 to go flip pancakes, but that's great. And this weekend I got 2 events to go to. Next weekend I have 2 events to go to. So it's a different kind of downtime. It's a time where I'm going to things and I'm hanging out with, couple hundred of my newest friends, and it's great because Rotarians all have the same, values, and so hanging out and having conversation is easy. But my goal, my long-term goal with being district governor is one of the things that they tell us is our primary job as a district governor is to find leaders, to find people who will come out and lead, whether it's in clubs or in the district. So I'm searching for somebody under the age of 50 to be a district governor. And I want to see that happen. And I think that if we have that, we have to help set the groundwork for that. And that means if I can get clubs to come together and do joint visits, then someday there will be a young person in our district who says, yeah, I can't visit 91 clubs, but maybe if it was 50, I could do it. So if we get every club to do a joint visit, then there's a good opportunity that we will end up with a younger governor. And that to me is really exciting because I know lots of people complain about the fact that there's never been a female international president. So I kind of feel the same way about not having, Bill was probably our youngest governor.
I was 53.
Yep. So that's So it is something that doesn't happen very often. So your wife must keep you then, does she?
What's that?
That's if you're a kept man. You can afford to take a year off.
I worked on the road because
Okay.
I work with my son in computer technology. And after every day, I spent 3 or 4, Wade knows, I spent probably 3-4 hours a night doing some data crunching for a big client we had. Every night on the road, I was still working. But that was how I could do it. If I was at a brick and mortar job, I would not have been able to do it. No.
So that's what my goal is. If we could get it down to that, I think. Actually, what I offered was to put my speech on a memory stick and then just send it out to all the clubs. And that way, if there were boring parts, they could just speed through them and we could just get together when they had a board meeting, just have a chat if there was something pertinent. What I'm finding is the most valuable are the things when I just talk to people and I find out that, it's really hard to get certified for youth protection, or new secretary doesn't know how to get into club runner. How come there's no training on that? And what I do is I make notes on that, and then I can go back and research it and email it to that person. And so I'm finding that that's the most valuable thing. The thing I think is really sad is that I'm learning all kinds of things about different clubs and how they operate. And I don't know then, how do I share that? So that would be something that I would love to know more about from your perspective. I mean, I'm talking about I would really like to see the E-Club share how you do things with clubs that, have a standard meeting time, but a set place all the time instead of being able to do it from their home. But at the same time, what about the things I learn in clubs that they're doing that are just so amazing? And yes, I get to write them down and I congratulate them, but that message never really gets out.
Well, Mo, why don't, just a thought, you gather all that information, and if something that comes up that really strikes you as valuable, that could be shared with other clubs, why not just send it out? I don't know if it was, a lot of people ignore emails, but I wonder if you could do something where you videotaped yourself and says, hey, this month I visited 20 clubs and here's some terrific things I've learned, and then send that video out to every one of us, because I know my members would watch that because that's what we do. We're a virtual club.
Yes.
But something like that, maybe, where you could, because I know emails, oh, governor again, delete, But I mean, if you could send something out in a video format just once a month about what all the best things, what do they call it? Best practices that you've learned in clubs, or interesting ideas, or things that you've never heard of before in Rotary, but somebody is doing it. There's just an idea.
It's a great idea. Thank you. That's what it's always learning. It's this is the great thing about Rotary is that everywhere I go, somebody's got some idea, and these other districts, that's what I love about the E-Club, because you're coming in from everywhere and different levels of experience. But I would guess, and I may be wrong, and you guys can correct me now, but everybody that's on tonight, I suspect, is a Rotarian somewhere else.
Yeah, in fact, we had this discussion last month, didn't we, Chuck, on a perspective. Corey Lopardi gave us a membership presentation, kind of appropriate, for the beginning of the year. And Chuck's comment was just that. He said, most of the people in this club have been Rotarians somewhere else. And then we had this, and that's part of what I'm preparing for. I'm trying to put together a club assembly and a club assembly agenda for in the near future, is to have a discussion on that. Is, are we a holding place for people? Are we just for people in transition between one road club to another in the future? Or are we a permanent place for people who have been Rotarians before? Because I don't think we have any new Rotarians in our club at all. But that's a discussion that we're going to have in the future. And if that's the case, does that mean, is that going to be our membership base? Are those the people we need to go after? I just did a download of the district database of people who have left Rotary in the last 10 years, or I'm sorry, 2 years. And I'm preparing a letter to go out to all those people after I filtered through health and moving and what have you, to say, hey, if you've left Rotary because you can no longer do a brick and mortar club at a very scheduled time, maybe this is an option for you, which is why Karen is on tonight, down there in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, just to see what we're about, and is it something that would be a good alternative for her to stay in Rotary. But that's a discussion for us in the future. Just so you know, we are thinking about that.
That's good. That's great. 'Cause I know that
Oh, I see Chuck. Chuck, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I want to say how fortunate I feel that we have such an enthusiastic and governor. I think that's going to be very helpful for us. But I want to follow up on something that you guys were talking about earlier, and I'm wondering if the governor could has any suggestions for projects that a club like ours could take on, considering our geographic diversification, and other than just giving money to a cause as we did last year. Did you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. Excellent question. I'm thinking that with one of the things that I'm finding with clubs is that they hesitate to do international grants because they're not comfortable with technology. And I'm going to guess if you're part of an e-club, you're a little more comfortable with technology than the average club. And I have been visiting clubs who give a tremendous amount of money to the annual fund. And the way the Rotary Foundation works is that the money that goes to the annual fund, all of it that our district gives comes back. In 3 years, we get a portion of this money back, and then we give it out as grants. And there are clubs that if they could cooperate with you and you used your technical skills to do grant writing, and they held the responsibility and the money for it, that you could probably become a resource for the district, for clubs. And there are a lot of clubs in the United States that don't take advantage of the fact that they're growing the foundation because they never do an international grant. I just see a huge opportunity for you to do something that's unexpected. It's almost like a service to other Rotary clubs.
Okay, Chuck, does that answer your question, Chuck?
Well, it's an answer.
Okay.
Something to think about.
I'm looking at raised hands over here, and it looks like Marcello has his hand raised, and then after that, Louis.
Hey, can you hear me?
Just barely, Marcello.
Okay, so I have a question on that virtual thing. What is like? I think it's a brilliant idea, but what is driving it? Is it about membership going down, people complaining? Like, what is finally moving us in that direction? Because it's something we should have done a long time ago. So I want to get some insight on like what is new that is making people finally move in that direction.
Ideas on that, Mo?
So Marcelo, let me make sure that I understood what you asked. Is it you're asking why people are leaving Rotary?
So you're designing this new program like the virtual Rotarian?
The virtual.
Oh,
The virtual Rotarian?
Well, I think from what I understand, talking to the Rotary's international vice president, was that they are looking to try anything because they feel that there are different reasons that people are, well, I think we all in some manner, unless we're narcissistic, are givers. We like to help others. It makes you feel good. I mean, I'm not making that up. There's studies on it. And yet they may not be people who want to join an organization. For example, if you want to do a microcredit project, you can just go online and donate through FIFA. You don't need Rotary. But at the same time, Rotary has such a great reputation because we use our own funds. We don't have people like some organizations do where they're driving beautiful big white SUVs and spending what are donated dollars on that sort of thing. We just go over and we use our own resources and we do things inexpensively. So they want to be part of that. They want to be part of the club, but they don't want to really join. And so this virtual membership allows it. And I think that's part of, I guess, understanding how millennials and the next generation coming up view what is service, because I think they are just as interested. I was in a club today where there's a young man went out seeking a Rotary Club. He's 20. He picked that club because he desperately wants to do some service work, and he loved, of all the organizations he studied, Rotary was the one he liked the most. So I could only guess, and so I'm telling, I like to make up answers even if they're not true, but that would be my guess.
Okay, Marcello, does that give you a good answer?
Yes.
Okay, good. The next person whose hand is raised is Luis Melendez.
Yes, thank you, Bill. My question to you, Mo, was as you're going through these clubs and you look at technology, one of the past experience as past presidents was always assessing whether the clubs were technology, let's say, affluent, be able to adapt to technology. And I think that's one of the things that when I was going through PETS, we never really assess the clubs, how they were able to adapt. We talk about attracting new members. We're talking about new technology and various methods, but we never, as you look at through PETS right now in the current training, we never assess ourselves. You'll find that if you went through your clubs today, how many of them use club runners or just generate emails, and ask the members how many of them, what proportion of them are Facebooks, what proportion of them really use Club Runner or open their emails. As past presidents, I could tell using Club Runner which members open their mail or not.
Yeah.
Okay, which put an additional challenge of trying to reach those members when they don't even show up for club meetings. Okay, so I think that's one of the things that I think if I were to give back training-wise is that we need to assess our clubs technology-wise.
I really appreciate that. I'm actually, you know, you and I should have had a chat when I was chair of the PETS board last year, because this is an area that I agree 100%. Let me just give you an example. We bring these 900 presidents together. Well, I guess not 900, but by the time you bring all the trainers in there, you got 900 people at this facility, 9 districts, training all of these president-elects. And what happens is I say, okay, I want every single president in my district to know how to access my Rotary. I want to make sure they have an account. And so I will need to set up a room for that. Well, not going to happen, because the technology within the hotel where we hold the event it's not capable of producing that. So I couldn't have that kind. And what else am I going to have all 90 presidents together? It's just not going to happen. So we are still training the way that we've trained for the last 10 years. And we need to change it because the young people in our clubs are far ahead of us. And I know that if I really want to reach people, what I have to do is say, do you want to be text? Do you want email? Do you want me to phone you? How do you like to receive information? Because everybody's different. In fact, I mailed a letter. Well, not to you, Bill, I emailed you, but I mailed a letter to all the past district governors in District 5020 this last couple of weeks. And I got responses from them because they were so happy they got mail. So you just don't know what people are going to want. Technology is a difficult subject to come up to. But I do hear every single president that I've talked to so far says, yeah, nobody reads my email. So I don't have an answer.
Well, you may want to give it consider in smaller groups rather than the Big Bang Theory. I mean, there's 2 ways that you can approach it in smaller processes and have clubs be more dynamic in experimenting with technology, or there's also what we call these Rotary action groups. There's Rotary, which I belong to, which is an internet group which helps people through whether it be on Yahoo, whether it be any type of technology problem, and they share their experiences back and forth of when they run into problems. So
Yes.
taking advantage of that.
That's a great idea. I wish those people in Rhodey, what I used to call Rhodey, I wish they would share their, what I want to call it, their answers or their solutions with the rest of us then. Mo, you were talking about the young people and Marcello, but I have two boys I work with in their computer business, and the one boy I'm trying to get in to Rotary, he's been in, but he's been out because he's simply too busy. The virtual Rotarian might be an option for him, but with both of the boys, this is their life. They do 90% of their work this way. They have the ability to sign into, and Wade will know, they have the ability to sign into all their customers' servers and update and fix and troubleshoot. And everything they do is right here. And in their case, it's, okay, I'll do a project, Dad, but I don't want to be at a meeting every day or every week. But if you want me to come help paint a house with Habitat, if you want me to go clean up a park on a Saturday afternoon, I'll do it. So it's a different world, different things. Going to share two things for Marcello's benefit also, and for Chuck. We are, as I share with our club, a member of what we call a twinning group. I met a gentleman in Atlanta, Jean-Louis Win-Key. He's of Vietnamese descent, but he's from France. He belongs to E-Club 9920. And they have members from France, Spain, Germany, Taiwan. And I met him, and as a result of meeting him, we now are twins. And there are 50 plus clubs that have signed on to this twinning agreement, wherein we receive project opportunities. And I haven't done this with the club yet because we're still new. We're still trying to develop who we are. But in our club assembly, I'm going to bring this up and start sharing projects with our members and say, is this something we would like to do? So get the club to vote on it, right? And this is a great opportunity. Plus, it's a good funding source. We may not have a lot of money, but if 50 E-clubs around the world who are grouped together or twinned together fund a project that we all like, we can have that impact. So that's one thing. The other thing I did, which is an informal organization that I signed on to a couple weeks ago, there is a North American E-Club Association. And that includes the United States and Canada. And I signed on to that, and that was fantastic. There's some 64 clubs that are informal members of that group. So it's out there. So between those 50 I mentioned, another 64, there's almost 120 E-clubs out there that we have immediate access to, that we can share information or project ideas. It's up to me now to try to collect all that and organize it and format it in a way that our club can look at it and decide what they want to do. So it's out there, and I think it's probably going to be the future of Rotary.
Sounds like you're connecting the world to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, literally, yeah, literally. Very good, Mo. That's what it says there, backwards. Okay, anything else for Mo? This has been terrific. I love the questions. And we're just about on the hour. Oh, I saw a hand. Laura, go ahead.
It's really quick, really easy question. I missed where you said district conference was going to be.
Victoria.
Victoria. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It'll be lovely.
Oh,
Any to go to Victoria?
yeah, I did. Hey,
Kathy?
is anyone here besides us going to the Honolulu convention next year?
Possible, but I have a problem. It's also my 50th wedding anniversary next year.
Oh,
So
that's a good. You
I'm
can
trying to
celebrate.
struggle with my wife
Hey,
as to where we go.
Hey, it's our 35th that week.
So we're having a discussion about that right now.
You can piggyback. What you can do is piggyback. What we're doing is getting another week on Kauai.
Yeah.
And piggybacking it. no one wants to go there for 5 days.
We're thinking about that because we really want to go to Waikoloa. So we'll see how that works out on the Big Island. So anyway, yeah, it's a possibility, but I have to get agreement from the other half of the corporation here.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Anything else for Mo, please? Anything more? If not, I want to thank everyone, and I want to thank Jan for being our AG, and Mo, thank you so much. I love, and so is that your theme basically then? Your personal thing is the joy of Rotary?
It is my joy. Yes.
Okay.
My joy.
The joy of Rotary. So, okay, we'll, when we record it, by the way, we record all the presentations on Zoom Cloud. I
Okay.
download it to my computer, and then I send it, I go to YouTube, edit it, because on YouTube you can cut out front and back, get it really good. And then from there, I put it on our website. So I will title it The Joy of Rotary by District Governor Mo. Okay? So look for that. One of